So I'll be wrapping the hood of my car in Vvivid's new forged carbon in army green. Got my roll here, which is big enough to cover this hood. You can see kind of it's a textured vinyl. It does have kind of a sparkly effect because of the way the texture is on each of the individual carbon fiber forged pieces that are embossed into the film itself. You can probably hear it is a textured film, so I'll try to get a little closer here so you can see that better. This was released in, I believe, late 2021 under their Premium Plus line. It does come with a paper backing, for backing paper. The adhesive is clear, as you can see here with the, you can see the color of the actual vinyl through the adhesive. It's not a gray or a different color. And then the air release pattern looks like it's a micro or a nano air release pattern with very, very small squares or diamonds as the air release pattern goes. Other Vvivid brands or lines, their air release pattern looks more like a skin kind of pattern. I like to think of it as a dinosaur skin, but this is in their newer Premium Plus line and uses that new air release pattern. So you can see I've got my hood all ready. This was a cheap respray, so I did have to sand it down and prep and clean it really good. I did have it wrapped a couple times before, particularly in this same color that you see on the car, this green, which is Avery matte metallic moss green. But I'm going to be doing this forged carbon fiber green on the hood, just because I think it looks kind of cool, and give it a try, see how it applies, and kind of show you how you would apply this vinyl to a hood. Pretty simple. The only technical parts or difficult parts that may be on this hood are these deep recesses here, and there's one on the other side of the hood as well, so you have to feed those in to make sure that there's no tension in those areas as well. So again, the hood is cleaned and prepped and ready to go, and I've got my vinyl, which is big enough to cover this up. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with the how-to portion of the installation of this film. And so, as I said earlier, you start with a piece of film that's big enough to cover your hood left and right, up and down. You can see I'm just positioning it so it's centered. Once I've got it where I want it to be, I'm going to trim off some of the excess that I have down towards the headlight or the front grille area, and then again, also towards the top by the windshield. So that way I don't have this excess vinyl when I do peel it, binding up my install. Once I've got it set, you can see I'm taking a corner, peeling it, and I'm going to put the magnet back down, or both magnets there, so that it holds as I peel the backing paper off the vinyl. Once I've got it all peeled off, you can see I've lifted it up and I'm kind of floofing the vinyl like a blanket. And what I'm doing is I'm glassing or smoothing out the vinyl by lifting it up and giving a little tension to think of it as making your bed, the bed sheet on your bed, is nice and smooth. Once I've got at least the center fairly smooth, you can see I went ahead and started my squeegeeing process. And what I'm doing is I'm working my way towards the passenger side, going up and down the hood till I hit that recessed area that I described in the intro of the video. When I hit that recess area, you'll see that I'll lift the vinyl up a little bit so that I could feed the vinyl down into the recess area so there's no tension. Once I hit the bottom of that valley, I'll start working my way up the other side of the recess onto the flat side of the hood again and finish off that side. Now, as I get towards the front where it becomes pretty curved, you can see that I'm adding a little bit of heat to help with the vinyl making it a little bit more pliable, more conformable, and more stretchable. Now, since this is a textured vinyl, I don't want to hit it with too much heat. I just want to warm it up just enough so that the vinyl becomes soft enough to be able to work with a little bit more easily, but without destroying the texture and the look of the vinyl. Too much heat will essentially, or could essentially, smooth out or melt the texture, and then you're going to change the look of your vinyl. Now, what I'm doing on the sides there is basically I'm using my thumb to roll the edges down onto the edge of the hood, so that in preparation of set it up for in preparation to cut later on. Now that I've got the passenger side on, you can see I've gone ahead and I started working on the driver's side of the hood, doing the same thing, working my way up and down the hood till I reach that recessed area. When I reach that recessed area, you see that I'll lift up the vinyl to then feed that vinyl down into the valley of that recessed area. Once I hit the bottom, I'll make my way up the other side of the recessed area onto the flat side of the hood. And then from there, what I'll do is just essentially finish off wrapping that side of the hood to the edges, kind of roll my edges a little bit, and then work on the front corner curved areas and also the front part itself. Again, adding a little bit of heat to help me out to make the vinyl a little bit more conformable, pliable, stretchable, but again, just slightly warming it up without killing it with a ton of heat. And so I've essentially wrapped this whole hood already, and now I'm just kind of doing the finishing areas of getting it to the edges and setting up my edges nicely by giving a little bit of a roll just over the edge. I don't want to tuck underneath per se because I don't want to add like a 1/4 inch worth of vinyl underneath, but I do want to make sure that the edges look like they're covered. And so I'm just rolling the edge of the vinyl over the edge of the hood with my finger and my squeegee, as you can see me doing there. And I'm just doing that all the way around. I do take a little bit of time to set it up. Once I've got that all set up, you can see I'm trimming out the back of the hood, and I'm going to leave a little bit of excess at the corners of the top of the hood by the windshield there, and I'll explain that here in a little bit. Now, I trimmed off one part of it, I'm trimming off the other part, and again, I'm going to leave a little excess on that top corner of the hood by the A-pillars there. And I'm going to pop the hood and lift it up just a little bit. I don't need to lift it up all the way. I'm going to put a box just to lift it up, and that will help me in trimming off this excess. And again, I did set up my edges, and you can see I'm just taking my glove and heat to let the vinyl drop down and then roll the vinyl just over the edge, and then where it's tucked into the front grill piece, I'm using my squeegee. That way I can cut underneath the hood, and that will leave just enough vinyl to cover the edge of the hood, but without having to tuck all the way underneath the hood itself, which is unnecessary. And so I'll show you an up close of what I'm talking about here. You can see I'm just finishing that off, cutting under my corners and then working my way out to the flat. And so here I'll show you what I'm talking about as far as cutting underneath. You can see that my edge is set up so that it's covering the edge of the hood edge, but not wrapped underneath the hood itself. I'm putting my blade underneath the hood edge and with the side of my blade pushed up against the edge of the hood, so I use that as my guide. My free hand would ideally be holding the vinyl as I cut it to add just a pinch of tension, but I'm holding a camera, so I can't do that. Now, I've come close to a corner, so I'm going to stop. I'm going to go to my corner, cut directly underneath of it, and cut towards my cut that I just stopped and meet my cut on that other end. And now I'll show you how to do the corners by the windshield. So I'm going to try to show you how to do this corner tip here. I have the hood propped up just a little bit. I had it up all the way, but it was making the corner go down too far. And then if I have the hood flush, it's going to be too flat. So basically what I'm going to do is this area that I haven't cut, this tab that I left, which is a little extra material, heat it up just to warm up a little bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to essentially try to stretch that around the corner. I may need to use a squeegee to help by getting this around and tucked underneath and in under the corner tip itself, just like that. Get this off of the edge here, tap that down there, get that underneath. Basically, so I'm trying to mold the warm vinyl, stretch it around the corner tip itself, like that. Then once you've done that, you can take your heat source and hit it with this lower heat, and what it does, it causes the vinyl to shrink around that corner tip there. Put it again just to make sure. So you can kind of see how the tip of the corner has been wrapped with vinyl. And then while it's still warm, you can make sure that it's fully molded all the way around and under. And then once it's cooled, feels pretty cool right now, take your knife, cut directly as best you can under the corner tip in a way, tip flats there, press that down. It's the same thing with the other side. It's a little tough because it's tight here. Sometimes it's just going to be like that, so you have to do your best. And then cutting away underneath the corner and away and under the flat side here, like that. Once you've done that, you can take your squeegee, your finger, your micro squeegee, to make sure everything is tucked down and pressed down nicely around that corner. Kiss it with a little heat to make sure nothing is going to pop up, which it shouldn't because they already did that. mold this, basically molding the vinyl around this corner tip so it looks nice. Just like that. And with that corner done, what I'll do is go finish off the other side in the same manner. If you need to adjust your hood for the other corner, if your hood isn't exactly level like mine isn't, go ahead and do so. Once you finish it off, I recommend that you go over all of your edges that you cut with some heat, maybe a wrap glove in your finger, and press everything down so that your edges are sealed down nice and tightly and that the adhesive is flowing so that it holds really well and to catch any air bubbles that you might have missed. Alright, so I finished heating down all the edges and gone over the entire hood again with a little bit of heat to make sure I didn't miss any areas. So this
you can see the writing on the pavement. Young kids, they're growing up in basements. Online, a whole new generation. I'ma make mine, so you better go take it. Always they need a new replacement. Decentralized, can't contain it. We're changing lives, yeah, upgrading. Call it suicide of the older generation. What keeps you up at night, yeah? Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. What keeps you up at night, yeah? Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah.
Alright guys, so that's it for the video. I hope you found it to be helpful, informative, entertaining, instructional, and just all around value added. If you did like this video, give it some love by hitting that thumbs up button and hitting the subscribe button if you haven't already. Also, tap that bell notification button so you get notices whenever I post new content to the channel. I got more videos like this on the way and in the works, and I'd love to share those with you. Thanks again for watching, guys. Have a great day.